Today's video story is going to be about something that happened around 15 years ago. And I want to preface it with two other little stories that will have some relevance on that particular story that I'm going to relate. First story was that I lent someone, I had a Springer, it was like brand new Springer shotgun, tri-shot. Guy came and he didn't have anything to use. And his buddy was pestering me like, hey, you have something he can use for the day? And I'm like, yeah, okay. Let him have the gun, the tri-shot, got him a couple shells. He walked out on the field, tripped and fell, broke the thing in half. I didn't lend anything for a long time after that. The second one, and I've related this story before, where a gentleman wanted to buy a pistol off me. And he said he didn't want to test it. He wanted to use it the day that he was at the field. And he wanted to use it all day without paying for it. And I said, well, I don't really want to do that because you go out there and you break it, you don't want it, then I'm out the gun and the cost of selling it. So he said, yeah, I don't want it then. Well, I'm like, you just wanted to use it. You didn't want to pay for it. So I'm like, yeah. So we moved to 2008. Went to this one field. And it's a big, long rectangle. Woods on either side, woods in the middle. Open field to start where the staging was. Some vehicles, some structures, some very limited cover. But on the backside, after the center section of woods, was trenches and raised buildings and more structures behind that. So you actually went flat and then went up a little bit of a rise, and there's the trenches and these buildings and everything else. This particular day, it was tan versus green, and tan had the trenches, raised buildings, and everything all the way across the field. And we were starting this side of staging. Now, what I was using for the day was my original 30 caliber that was built. Now, I'm going to throw some pictures in here and then talk about it a little bit. That 30 caliber was based off the movie Terminator 3, the gun that Arnold Schwarzenegger used in the cemetery where he shot at people. The guy actually was a prop maker. His name was Killbucket. Made the gun up, put a version 7 M14 gearbox in it, put the barrel, hop up the whole 9 yards, and I was using it that day. So we get there, and I want to explain this. Tan started all the way on one side, green started on the other side. And whenever you died, you would come and you would fight in the middle or one side or whatever. Whenever you died, you had to walk all the way back to your original spawn point, which this was a big, long, drawn-out field. So you had to walk up to the fight, have fun, get shot, walk all the way back to spawn, then walk all the way back up, get involved in the fight, and get shot, walk all the way back. So that was all day. And I mean, you'd fight your way up through, and green took a lot of ground until it hit the trenches and those raised buildings, and we couldn't do anything. But we would get all the way up, like 3/4 of the way on the field, die, and then you got to walk all the way back. In future games, he changed it so you could like take a spawn point farther up so you didn't have to walk all the way back. So this game was supposed to start at 9 o'clock, and of course, airsoft time, we didn't get out on the field till like 9:30. So I didn't eat no breakfast. We didn't stop for lunch. So it's like 3 o'clock. And I am tired. Okay, this is 15 years ago, and I'm 50 years old, and my leg was still pretty decent, and my heel and my shoulder and everything else. Thing of it is, walking back and forth, everybody was getting tired. So at 3 o'clock, I said, hey, I'm going back to staging, going to grab something to eat, a drink and whatever, and we're going to sit for a little bit. And everybody came back from our team. And we sat for a couple of minutes there, about 3:15, and everybody else went back out. And this guy said, hey, Keeper, I'll stay with you. So I'm sitting there, and the 30 caliber's on the table. And the guy comes past me and he says, "Oh, you're not going out?" I said, "Yeah, we're going to sit for a while." And he said, "Well, we really need that 30 caliber out there." I said, "Well, you can shoot full auto. It's not that big deal." So he said, "Hey, could I use this? Can I take this out and use it on the field?" And I said, "No, I don't really think so." Now, you got to remember that this had a significant dollar amount to it. At the time, it was almost $500 I paid for this, and it was one of a kind. So the combination of the price and that it was a one of a kind type thing really didn't want to make me lend that to somebody. Now, he wasn't on my team, but he was on my event team, Greenside. Well, he got pissed off. He said, "We really need that out there, like, slow the guys down." And uh, people didn't realize that the M14 gearbox shot really slow, maybe like 10, 12 rounds per second. And it was only shooting 300 FPS, so it really wasn't shooting that hot or laying down a lot of fire. It was intimidating looking, but it wasn't laying down as much fire as some of the other guns could do on full auto. So he got pissed off at me, and at this time, Facebook was just a dream, and Instagram and all this other stuff. So we were on forums a lot. There was a couple of forums that you could get on, and I come to find out that this guy is bad-mouthing me on another forum, saying that I lost the game. I lost in the game because I wasn't out there with my support weapon. And I'm thinking to myself, geez, the points were like 100 apiece. Like you took this, you took this, you took this. Well, we took as much as we could take without taking the rest of the field. Tan just wrecked us. They were ahead by like 500-600 points. Even if we took everything else that was available there, we wouldn't have won. Yet he's telling everybody that because I didn't come out with the 30 caliber for a while, we lost the game. And I think it was just sour grapes because I didn't want to lend him the replica. Now, my question for everybody else here that's going to be watching this is, if you bought a replica with a certain amount of dollar value, with like $450 to $500 replica now, would you lend it to somebody to use? The other caveat on there is, if you bought that $500 replica a while ago and it's one of a kind that you can't get anymore, would you still lend that out to somebody to use? Right now, I've actually had people want to buy that off me, but I'm like, I don't want to sell it right now because it's one of the first replicas that I own. And it has a lot of sentimental value. And I just can't see myself selling it. 2 years from now, who knows? I could be selling everything. But would you lend out something like that with a substantial dollar amount and one of a kind? And I think the main thing to take away from here is that it was one of a kind. Nobody else had that. So, as always, I hope you enjoyed this story. And as always, you guys have a good day.